Good morning, Jean-Charles. How are you today?
Good morning, Ray. I'm ecstatic. Knowing that I'm with you, my day is already better.
You're a very sweet man. I am here today with our dear friend, Jean-Charles Boisset of numerous wineries, the JCB Collection, Raymond, Deloche. I could go on for days, but always good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely. And it's great to see you because, you know, for the first time in a long time, we're having beautiful weather in California, which means we're having rain. So it's a very good sign for all of us and for the dryness we've been enjoying. Now, finally, the soil is getting a little more moist to welcome the roots and to provide great harvest. So we're excited. We've been praying for the rain and it comes.
Yeah, I had just heard about that. I actually spoke with somebody in Lake County just a couple of days ago. I think the big thing first I'd like to talk about before we get into particularly JCB is letting our listeners know one thing above all else is that Napa Valley is alive and vibrant. While the fires were obviously a major problem, the valley is still there, and wineries. In fact, I believe you're doing some outdoor tasting there now, right?
Absolutely. So you're very kind to say that and to remind to everybody that Napa Valley, Sonoma, the whole wine country is open again. We are enjoying wonderful tasting outdoors. Obviously, everybody has built tents and facilities that can really respect social distancing and all the new regulations. But the valley is open, and as spring is around the corner, we want to welcome everybody to join us and to enjoy great wine. So yes, we are, and we're dying to see people. So come over.
Well, I hope to be there as soon as I possibly can because this is the longest I have gone in 20 years without being out there. I am really having a hard time with this.
Luckily, you know, Ray, you stay in touch with a lot of great people in the wine country. The podcast is fantastic for both all your listeners and all the producers. So you've done a great job staying in touch and keeping building it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I mean, what's more fun than talking to a bunch of winemakers, in my personal opinion?
I think there's a lot of things happening in the world of wine that is so exciting. Great new trends and, you know, a lot of excitement because people have been drinking a little more at home. So they've been able to pace themselves, discover new wines, and really experience life at home with wine. So it's all great.
It is. And I think, and again, sorry, I'm going to give you another compliment. I hate to do that, but I'm going to. The videos you've done, the promoting you've done for the Valley, for wines, for fashion, for food, and with your kids, you've done a great job of it because you've kept in touch with people and you've made Napa Valley that much more visible and shown people how much fun it is. It is about fun. Wine is about fun, right?
Well, totally. And specifically when we had a very special guest on our show named Ray Fisher. That was a great show. And you did an amazing job. And if people have not seen it, you got to realize if you go to JCB Live and JC Boisset, Facebook and Instagram, you could go back to the fabulous interview of Ray. If you want to get to know him better, we spent 50 minutes together having an amazing time. And that was really the heyday of the show. So thank you, Ray, for attending it.
Well, again, you've had Jane Seymour on the show. My God, that's quite a, I was speechless for sure.
Luckily, you were voiceful that day, and we could hear about your incredible background and history and love of sound, life, and wine.
Well, let's talk about you. The first thing, the Oakville Grocery. I unfortunately have not seen what you've done to it. You've taken it over. What I've seen is what has been online. Tell me about all the changes you've made to that great store.
So we've acquired the Oakville Grocery in January of 2019 as one of the oldest continuous operated store and wine destination, wine merchant in the history of the West Coast. So it's a very big deal. It was founded in 1881. So it's that very iconic store at the crossroad of Oakville, of the entire Napa Valley. So we acquired the store, redid all the courtyard, added a wonderful pizza oven that makes enormously delightful and delicious pizza, as well as flatbreads, as well as obviously burgers and all the great things in a pizza oven you could do. Turn all the produce into organic and biodynamic and expanded really a great assortment of great food. In addition to that, Ray, we have two buildings which are really historical and the oldest Victorian house. We've elected to convert it into a museum about strictly Napa Valley, and as well to really have 50 wines by the glass from all the producers that are difficult to visit or don't necessarily have a tasting room. So in addition to being in the museum, you're in a fabulous wine by the glass destination where you can actually taste 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 5 ounce of everybody that you could dream of. And this is very, very cool. So the Oakville Grocery is really back to its history with a great coffee program, a great beer program, because we make our own beers as well. We have coffee roastery, beer making, and we have as well a very interesting food program that allows you to get the best sandwiches in the heart of Napa Valley. So it's very cool, and you can sit, look at the Micomas Valley and mountain, look at Tocalone, and have a great time in the best place and enjoy wonderful moments.
And that's the great thing about it is it's right in the heart of the valley. Visitors see it when they drive by, and it's been so popular for so long. So on top of what you're talking about here that you're showing there, I also saw that you're now doing spirits, which got my attention really quick. How long have you been doing that?
Well, a few years now, and those are very unique spirits. They all derived from grape distillation. So we continue within our know-how of wine making. So we make wine and then we distill. So it's very unique. It's a series of vodkas, all infused with very unique products of the earth or the ocean. One is a caviar infused vodka. The other one is a black truffle infused vodka. The gin has over 50 different plants and herbs, and the 2 cognacs. So we have a really great assortment of 6 spirits, very high end, all following the same philosophy as the wine. And it's very exciting because they're very, very delectable. They're very rich, very opulent, very unique. And no one does that kind of spirits anyhow. So it makes it very special to us.
I look forward to trying them. Are you selling them at the store, I'm assuming, or no?
Yes, we are, but we go onto internet platform to ship because, as you know, in the world of wineries, we're not allowed to ship spirits as well. So we go through a variety of different internet sites, from GaryWineandSpirits.com to obviously bountyhunter.com,
sure,
to others like wineaccess.com and so forth. So this is very exciting because we found those great, partners to basically ship it for us, and you just order it on their platform.
Sure.
And another one is wine.com as well.
Perfect. Is there a distillery that you have? Will there be...
In Burgundy, we do. So those are made from Burgundy grapes, Ray, which makes it even more unique than anything ever, because we take the finest grapes in the world, Chardonnay and Pinot, we blend it after making the wine, then we distill it. And after the distillation, we, of course, make those great spirits, which takes, roughly 7-8 months to make. So it's like a fine wine. It takes a while, but I think the flavor profile and everything else is so different, so unique. And it's amazing if you decide to have them pure, or if you decide even to create a cocktail with it because of the wonderful fruit component to it. It's not grain, it's not wheat, it's not corn, it's nothing of that. It's the beautiful grapes of Burgundy.
So it's very different. Interesting. probably less to do with grapes, but do you think you'd head down the bourbon trail by any chance? Will there be bourbon?
No, we don't do any bourbons. We love enjoying bourbons once in a while and whiskeys and all the brown spirits. We decided to go the cognac route and the brandy route. So we have an amazing brandy at Buena Vista that is an old style brandy, which is $100 a bottle, really stunning, made here in California. So it's a super high-end brandy. And then we do the two cognacs from France, one from 1969, my date of birth, so it's a vintage cognac, and the other one is a Grand Champagne, which is really a wonderful blend of multiple vintages from 69 onwards. So it's another very exciting cognac.
Nice. 1969. That would have been when the Beatles released Abbey Road. I think I was a junior high school.
Here we go.
Yeah,
you were having a good time. You were having the time of your life.
We don't want to talk about that. Anyway, so one thing you're great at, you're a great marketer. I mean, you sincerely are. You really promote quite well. And having been at Raymond many, many times, there's so many things that you sell, so many things that are so integrated to wine business, but you also do fragrances as well.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the compliment as well. You know, we love to take our guests on a journey. And when you make wine, Ray, you kind of make fragrance at the same time. You know, you make wine not just with your mouth, but with your nose. The nose is probably as important, if not more, than, you know, the texture of your palate could be. So as I've had the pleasure to make wine all my life, virtually, since the age of 5 and 6 years old, I've been tasting wine, and, you know, my parents' home was the winery, and the living room was actually the winery as well. Wow. So I've been around wine and smelling barrels and smelling fermentation and grapes all along. I thought it would be really fun to be able to spray yourself with the flavor of our imagination. And the flavor of our imagination starts in the cellar, right? So that's, I think, the very cool part. So we did 2 fragrances to start with, and really unique, really great. And then we decided to expand with 3 additional ones that we just released a few weeks ago. So this is very exciting today because we are really having 5 different unique fragrances where we use the barrel, the rootstock, the grape as some of the ingredients within the formula of the fragrance. And then we've added all different types of avenues, whether it's underground or overground. So far, no ocean smell yet. We will eventually over time. But what we've done is a lot of the earthy and ethereal type of flavor profile. So it's between earth and sky. And soon we'll introduce Iod and the ocean and the breeze of the ocean with another fragrance down the road, which will be like your shirt today, midnight blue. So far we've really integrated, you know, mainly what happens underground with great smell of mushroom, smell of root, of oud, of sandalwood, and as well flowers like iris, lily in the valley, rose, geranium, and a lot of beautiful flavor that comes like lily in the valley from the forest. So it's been a very interesting journey because all those fragrances really were inspiration of mine from the past and what we sense around the world of wine.
It's a really good choice of words, journey. You have been on a thoroughly amazing journey. What year did you first arrive in Napa Valley? When was that?
Well, the first time I really came to tour it was in the early 80s with my parents and fell in love, obviously, with the Oakville Grocery at the time and Napa Valley. That was really my first time. My second time, in a big way, if you wish, was really in the early 2000s when we bought the Loach in 2003. I quickly came to Napa and said to myself, it would be wonderful. And I was dreaming of Raymond Vineyards because of the site, because of the winery, and this amazing destination that it is. So I flirted with the Raymond family for a long time as far as them joining our company. And we finally, in 2009, succeeded to acquire Raymond in August and be very close to the Raymond family and brought Raymond into our collection of wineries. So really the first time, early 2000s, in a big way, and then in a bigger way, late 2009.
Beautiful. You know, again, there's been so much that you've done for the Valley. One of the toughest things for many of us this year is being unable to attend Premier Napa Valley, which I think there's been new arrangements for that. I'm not quite clear on that. But one thing we certainly miss is your Napa Gras, which was one of the highlights above anything in the Valley during that week.
Well, you're very kind. And, you know, I'm taking notes of that as I have ideas. The Napa Valley in the San Francisco Chronicle yesterday was floating a great article about the revamping of the auction from what it was to what it may become. So it will change, which every 20, 30 years, things should evolve. And there's a group of people for reformulating the vision of 2021, 2022 Napa wine auction. So it will be an exciting time.
That'll be very exciting. And change is good, certainly in Napa as well. Is there one particular mantra or one lesson you learned, one thing you guide your career?
Absolutely. Yeah, the big lesson, Ray, for me always has been the connection with Mother Nature. And it sounds obvious, but often in winemaking, you try to rectify, modify what Mother Nature has to offer. And if you farm appropriately, which is organically and biodynamically, you don't have to correct anything. You need to let Mother Nature speak and give you what she offers to us, which is a great gift. So I really think, you know, I let behind very early on the understanding of chemistry and laboratory winemaking. I don't believe much in it. I believe the grape comes in, we let them ferment and convert those beautiful sugars into alcohol very slowly. We accompany them, and then it's the art of blending, but not the art of chemically making wine. So I really believe, unlike perfume making, which is the opposite, where you use a lot of synthetic flavor, which are fine because they last forever, and the natural flavor don't evolve on your skin the same way. I think with wine, I think the art is to really listen to Mother Nature, let it be, and come in at the ultimate moment with the art of blending, the art of composing. So becoming more of a composer rather than purely a chef altering the flavor profile potentially of the grapes themselves. So I think listening is a big deal, and trusting Mother Nature, because there's no one better than her to give us the best rather than us trying to modify who she is. And if it's not the right terroir, that means it's not the right place to make wine. Don't try to make wine in the wrong places. So I really believe that was for me my biggest learning curve at the age of 7 or 8, to really dramatically understand the voice, the skin of Mother Nature, and all of the above.
That's fascinating to be that young and to have that voice speaking to you. That's very cool.
Well, and I had a lot of help, Ray. You know, you mentioned you just became a grandfather, and you know, it's a great time for you. And I was very fortunate. I had amazing grandparents who were really much into nature and very much into organic and biodynamic farming. So it was really easy for me, luckily and thanks to them, to be a great listener of Mother Nature because they showed me the way. So I think if someone shows you the way at that age, it's very easy to be converted into this approach. If I had grandparents who were very much into synthetic chemicals and extreme Roundup and using, you know, drastic elements to kill what happens in the soil, I could have become that way. But luckily, you know, they taught me the opposite, which I really believe was a great gift that they offered me early on. And then when your eyes are open, your ears are grand listening to this, and you witness, the proof in the quality of what you do, you can only be a convert and a preacher for it in the future.
Yeah, you are that. Is it hard for you to be away from France after all these years? I mean, I know you obviously get to visit when you can, but
well, it's been a long time. I haven't been there in 1 year now, which has never happened in my life. So it's been a challenge in some ways, but at the same time, thanks to Zoom and GoToMeetings and all those digital, beautiful creation, we could still be close and be connected and so forth. So I really believe it has worked out, but I hope it doesn't last for too much longer, because I miss the tastings, I miss the proximity to the vineyards, I miss being in the wineries, I miss feeling the energy of the place, because it has a lot to do with great winemaking, is to be connected with a sense of place.
Sure. And the connection to people in person, that's for sure.
That's right.
You're about probably many winemakers have done numerous interviews and been questioned by so many people. So I'm going to throw you an oddball question here. Is, for all the times you've done these kind of events, what's the one question that you've not been asked that you'd like to be asked?
I love it. I love it. Well, often the hardest question to address is, as you kindly said and talked about the achievement, I think in many ways we often do the obvious. And I feel a lot of what I've done is the obvious. And I feel what is next is going to be very transformative. I still don't know what it is, but I really believe there's a way we can inspire more people, in a sense, and get them on that voyage, that journey that is really going beyond what we've done before. And I feel, the question could be, what have I achieved? And I would say I haven't achieved yet the big thing. And why do I say that is, we've been going to Mars many ways. We haven't landed something on Mars except yesterday or the last few weeks. But what is so exciting is the constant search for going beyond. And I really feel this is the direction of my life I wish to take, is to push further the experience, to engage people in a greater way using wine, to really introduce them to all kinds of life pleasures. That could be food, that could be fragrance, that could be obviously jewelry, that could be hotels, that could be overall discovery of their senses. And I haven't gone there. So I think the big question for me is always, what do you think you haven't done? And I think what I haven't done is the greater part of what I've done. So there's more left to do than not to do. So that's why I'm excited about the future. And I'm trying throughout those times to really think, how do I go there? Because I feel enormous vibration within my own self of greater things to achieve that I haven't done. And one of them, of course, is naturally, we've been, though very active in it, and you just said it, Napa Wine Auction is the philanthropy side.
Right.
And I really believe we got to create greater system to help others, whether it's Salvation Army, whether it's Joy and Serenity, whether it's, the African American Foundation, whether it's feeding people, whether it's any of those causes, to define a great path, be successful at selling wine and helping others is, I think, a great objective we have as well as a company. Is, yes, we want to make money for sure because it's important, but we want to be more active into creating a greater message attached to our wineries and our brands.
12 years ago was my very first auction in Napa Valley. And the thing that fascinated me is how many charities that the Napa Vintners donated to, whether it be Boys and Girls Club, clinical lay, housing, all kinds of stuff. And while you talk about it a lot, it's not something anybody brags about. It's simply a matter of doing the right thing. It's a model, I think, for a number of cities around this country, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It is a model, and I think it's going to have to be a great model without being political. But, you know, there's more printing money going out and more help packages from the government to sign checks. It's great. But I think the private sector needs to come up with Paul Newman ideas of more products to help others and to make sure that the circle to help one another is greater. And I hope the last, 18 months of living the way we have is bringing more compassion and love and willingness to help one another, besides the importance of profit and margin and running a successful business. So I think we need to become, as a society, much more in love with one another, much more appreciative, and develop much more, programs that help more people to keep them within the society and keep them alive within it and engage in it.
Yes, we need to do better, but you guys are doing a great job. So
thank you.
We talked about JCB Live a little while ago, and boy, this is a question I don't like asking because nobody likes hearing it, but I'll ask you anyway. You've done so many interviews with so many interesting people, and I think you actually asked me this question on the interview with me a while ago.
Yeah, I did.
Is there one particular person you interviewed that just blew you away? Whether you learned something completely different, whether it was just somebody who had maybe an extraordinary passion for wine, whatever it might be, was there one particular person or a couple of people that just really left you with your jaw dropped?
Well, yes, obviously. I would say first and foremost, everyone does, because everyone brings something very unique to the world of wine. So I would like to say everyone, as you've done yourself, probably thousands of interviews at this stage, everyone has something to contribute, which is great. My favorite question is obviously the last one, the overall message of those people to the world. And, my favorite was probably, and you're going to think that I'm obviously self-professing my own world, but I really enjoyed interviewing my lovely wife in the context of an interview where she could not escape on the answers, as she typically does very well, and seeing her deep commitment genuinely for her family, past, present, future, and her genuine absolute love and passion for wine as a great woman making a difference and a great leader. And we've had many great women on the show, and I don't mean to keep it diplomatically to the family, but I think as a great lady, my sister echoed that, as she was on the interview as well, did an amazing job within that range. But I need to tell you, it's very hard, as you know, to single out one person or the other.
Sure.
Because you brought yourself an amazing perspective on life in a farm, on your business as a new audio expert, to your love of wine and how you branched out and became an entrepreneur, and how successful you are doing the podcast of Life Between the Vines and so forth. So it's hard to say there's one, because out of close to 300 interviews now,
wow,
I could probably comment on every one of them.
Yeah.
As you can. And I know, you say, Jean-Charles, are you running for governor? That would be the last thing I would want to do. I would rather run for the title of being the inspiration in the world of great pleasures. That would be more my title as a ministry of the world of great inspiration. And what I love, like you, Ray, is people. And I'm very fortunate that I genuinely am interested in people. And you remember your interview, we said we're going to spend 30, 35 minutes. We spent it 55 minutes because it was fantastic.
Well, thank you. It was very kind. I think the one thing the biggest thing about doing this and I'm going to go down my own little path for a moment here, is that you do an interview that's really great. And I'm sure you get the same feeling, and you walk away from it going, geez, I don't know if I'll ever get another one that great again. And then you do the next interview and you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's that contact with people, the thing that we're missing right now. And that's the fun of having this contact with people. It's a wonderful thing to do.
I think it's fascinating to bring through each other's network a lot of wonderful people that people should meet. And I would like to say everybody is worth meeting. And that's the beauty and the hard part of it. You know, for us, the approach since March 17 of 2020, we said we wanted to have all our friends, like yourself. You typically do the interview, and you probably rarely ask to be on the other side. And I think it was great for people to get to know you. And as you know, we've had a great success with the views. And so many people were surprised to actually get to know you more, because we never spent enough time wanting to learn and listening about everyone. And I think that's typically the weakness of the world we've lived in. And hopefully the awakening we have is taking time to know who we're dealing with and why, and what is everybody's phenomenal strength and attributes and gift to the world, because everybody has a gift to give.
I agree. It's nice that you mentioned March 17th. I'm putting a plug in for my girlfriend because that's our anniversary, March 17th.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is. It's the connection with people, and it's such a great thing to learn that there's so many different kinds of wines. There's so many people around the country, the world. So I'm a little curious about you and your particular taste. Do you get a chance to try wines from, say, Louisiana, maybe Texas, maybe Virginia, Finger Lakes? Is there any area that you're going like, wow, these folks are doing a really great job?
Oh, absolutely. Ray, absolutely. One, I love wine, so I want to discover wine. I discover personalities behind it. And two, I'm very curious. So between those two things, and three, I'm very audacious. Even if we could think it's not as great, whether it's Chinese wines, Virginia wines, wines from Utah, from Colorado, from Texas, I'm willing to try it all. What I would like to comment on it, how the wine world has progressed in such a way that is fascinating. There's virtually today no bad wines. It's becoming very difficult to find bad wines. So I'm very excited about it, because wine does not belong to just two regions, or just to Burgundy, Bordeaux, and Napa Valley and Sonoma. It's a world which is very exciting at large. So I really feel what is really fascinating is to see people being entrepreneurs, being willing to plant a vineyard. And with the evolution of climate change, which we know is happening obviously more than ever, we will realize that many regions that could not do wine will be able to. And many regions who were doing fine wines will have to evolve with different techniques to cope with, riper grapes and earlier harvest and what have you. So I think it's an interesting place, very similar to, vegetables and flowers and fruit. The world is a very rich place, and we should welcome the diversity of it at all levels, whether it's wine, whether it's religion, whether it's skin color, whether it's school of thoughts. I think we need to be very open-minded.
Wine is for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's one of the things about learning about different wines from anywhere is that what you're doing, what I'm doing is letting people know this is agriculture and how important agriculture is to this world. We need it. We depend on it. And people get to see a little bit more about what goes on behind the curtains, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I love to see home brewing kits, home winemaking kits, people distilling at home in their garage. I think it's wonderful to see people be interested into making not just wine, but bread or pastries, sure, or cooking, and being in touch with the transformation of what Mother Nature has to offer, whatever it is. It could be hops, it could be barley, it could be wheat, it could be corn, it could be, obviously anything that comes from Mother Nature. So I'm very bullish about that. This is why, wines from Michigan, wine from Ohio, wine from all over the place. I think it's great.
I agree, totally. I don't want to keep you all day, but I probably could, given the chance. But
thank you.
A couple of things for our audience to know that are very important. Number one is how often JCB runs live. What is the website people would need to go to get that?
Well, you're very kind to ask. So we run live every day, Pacific time, pretty much at 6 p.m. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then Tuesday, Thursday, it's at 4 p.m. Pacific. So we have Wine Style and JCB Lives. Wine Style is more about wine and food, and it's 15, 20 minutes. It's a recipe with our chefs or cocktails. It's really very vibrant, very, very much more how-to and attached with recipes. Whereas the JCB Live is typically meeting people from the wine world, the architecture, the fashion, the music, the acting world, and really discovering someone and all our friends in the world that are great people that are making a difference. So it's endless, and it's really a lot of fun. And you can watch them at your leisure on JC Boisset, Facebook, Instagram. So JC Boisset. And we have a YouTube channel and a podcast as well. So we really, and often as well on LinkedIn under my name too, JC Boisset.
Excellent. Also for our listeners, just simply to be able to find out about you online, what would be the website for that?
Maybe the most appropriate is boissetcollection.com, BOISSET collection.com, or myboissetcollection.com. You can easily buy the wines. And we have a new, very cool monthly club named Joie de Vie, Joy of Life, joiedevie.com. And it's a great little website where you can subscribe and get 3 bottles a month and learn all about our different properties from both France and the US. And it's only $40 to join for 3 bottles a month. So it's very, very inexpensive.
Very good deal. Well, I think in the end, too, if somebody simply types in Boisset, they're going to find you. Jean-Charles, thank you very much for doing this today. I appreciate it. Darn good to see you, and I look forward to being able to shake your hand soon.
Absolutely, and to hug you and to welcome you to our Cellars Race. So thank you again for having us on your show.